All right, let's start.
My favorite thing in the world is pranks.
You're making fun of the establishment.
These two guys, I love what they're doing.
There's nothing like Nick and Joe.
Please welcome Joe Pickett and Nick Prueher.
This is our career now.
This is all we're doing with our lives.
Is this comedy?
What if we invented characters and pitched them to morning shows?
They totally bought it. We called ourselves Chop and Steele.
Chop and Steele.
We're a strongman duo.
I'm excited.
The news people were now doing their homework.
That's obviously fake.
They couldn't even do a Google search.
They're really putting themselves on the line in a pretty courageous way.
It's their Andy Kaufman moment.
I feel like I'm robbing a bank whenever I do these things.
Would you mind raising your right hand, please?
One of the news stations didn't find it funny.
We found out they were suing us in federal court.
It's just the cruelest thing.
As a mom, just was so scared.
You're thinking, how am I going to feed my family? What am I going to do?
We tried this experiment. It's not working.
I woke up a little bit panicked.
There's no business plan. There's no long-term strategy.
We're done.
It's an awful experience being sued.
We're broke right now.
We're here selling Frisbees. That's fine.
Yeah, we're not bitter at all.
When you get sued, they give you a platform.
It makes their act seem larger.
Suddenly you have a David and Goliath story.
We got to come up with something else.
Let's just keep doing what we're doing.
I'm joined now with Jeff, Bird, and Nick. How are y'all doing this morning?
Good. Yeah, real good. Yeah, thanks for having us on. I wouldn't trade this job for anything.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We both got our caps on today, so
Yeah, we got the memo. That's right.
it's been a while. Holy Moses!
It has been. It's been. When was it? When was the last time we saw each other? Would that have been?
Well,
I mean, it couldn't have been Winnebago Man. That was too long ago. I've seen you.
it was. Well, I may have seen you since. I mean, maybe we ran into each other, but I was doing a little bit of research, and you came in. You were here in New York City. Well, I'm not in New York City. I don't know why I said here. I'm not even in New York City, but we did it at the Maysles. We showed Winnebago Man.
Yes,
and it was on
right.
August. What?
Said yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We showed it August 19th, 2012.
Wow.
Almost 11 years ago.
That is wild. Okay.
It really is, isn't it? And we had already been in touch for a while before that, trying to figure something out. But it, it was great. I just have very fond memories of that whole screening, and that day. Yeah, that was fun.
Me too. That was really cool. I think I told you I wrote Albert Maysles a letter when I was an undergrad in college, and such a huge fan of.
You did?
Of their work. Yeah. Oh yeah. And he wrote me back too. It was funny.
Of course.
I wrote him, Les Blanc, and Ross McElwee, and Alan Berliner. Those were my four.
And what was the fourth one?
Alan Berliner and Ross.
Oh
McElwee.
yeah, Alan. All of these people have been on my show.
Oh, amazing! That's
and
great.
and then this is your first time actually doing the podcast, which is kind of funny. But I guess I had started it not long before you came on for the or we did the, and also I had done at the Maysles, and we're talking about Winnebago Man for those listening in or watching, that which is Ben's an earlier documentary that Ben directed some time ago, which was really just a very popular film documentary. And what the situation was, when I got to the Maysles, they wanted me to kind of create a series for them. So I came up with this idea for funny documentaries, and I called it Docularius with an exclamation point at the end. So I had to show Winnebago Man.
That's a great idea. Well, I'm flattered that you thought of me. I mean, it's a funny niche that I've carved out, but I do, I'm known for making comedic documentaries, and I'm just those are the stories I gravitate towards, and I call Chop and Steele kind of the spiritual sequel to Winnebago Man.
Well, it's interesting. Also, I mean, if you look at them both, and I'm just kind of formulating this, so if I'm just making nonsense, just or talking nonsense, you'll step in, I hope. But what was Winnebago's man's name again?
Jack Rebney.
Of course, Jack. So he's not intentionally being funny. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't intentionally doing something to try to be maybe outrageous or to get people's attention, or but I don't think he was trying to be the subject of a funny documentary. It just so happened he did become that. And then these guys, they do funny things, but the documentary is about a number of things that aren't really funny. It's the freedom to be funny. It's the freedom to push things to the edge, let's say, or to question where is the line, and what is free speech, and all these things that are really super interesting. But it's interesting. You're not just kind of doing although these guys, they are just naturally funny guys.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting, like you talking about your podcast and just the world we live in right now, like the style of comedy that I gravitate towards that seems really popular now is this sort of personal, quasi-confessional type comedy, and I think for whatever reason, one of the things that I've always tried to do in my films is to make them funny, but have equal measure, have heart and humor be equal within the films. And I feel like my favorite thing to do is to take people on that ride where you're initially sort of laughing with something that seems silly or frivolous, and then you dig under the surface, and all of a sudden you really care and relate to the characters.
Yeah. Well, it's important, right?
Yeah, and then you're moved by the end, and then hopefully leave the theater laughing again. So you get this sort of like full emotional roller coaster.
Right. Yeah, and these guys, Nick Prueher and Joe Pickett, who are, I guess, pranksters, professional pranksters, and they are also the founders of the Found Footage Festival. It would be very easy to think, oh, these are two obnoxious guys. They're kind of snarky and they're trying to make fools of people. So it's really important to see the broader story and to find their more humane side too, and see what their motives are, because then we can root for them.
Absolutely. Well, and they, it's interesting that you say snarky, because I think
I'm not saying they are so much as I'm saying the perception could be.
Yeah. No, I didn't take it that way. I just meant, like, when you hear, for those not familiar with the Found Footage Festival, basically they're finding VHS tapes in thrift stores or garage sales that are things that aren't meant to be shown in public. So it's like public access shows and celebrity workout videos and intra like office types of internal videos and industrial videos, and there's a way that you can make fun of that footage pretty easily, because a lot of it is corny and sort of hackneyed, but they aren't making fun of the people who made it as much as they're sort of appreciating and commenting the absurdity of the fact that these were even made. So what they do is they cut them up, they make these montages, they put themselves in them. It's very kind of self-depreciating and innocent. And there's this really great Paste magazine review of the movie that this reviewer just did an incredible job, where he talked about the fact that the guys are from Wisconsin and have this sort of outsider understanding of what it means to be in show business. And that basically, because of that, they they never really thought that they could be a part of the mainstream, and so they sort of proudly and just effortlessly stand on the fringe and are outside looking in, and they find their identity in that, and they like to critique it and be funny and make their friends laugh, and it's, again, not in a snarky way. It's in a it's not, Joe's wife says it perfectly in the movie. It's not mean, it's just funny. And I think I really related and liked where they were coming from, because I grew up in Kansas and I now live in Austin, Texas. And so I have a similar sort of feel like I'm on the outside of the entertainment industry, although I do work in the entertainment industry. And there's a kind of freedom in that, where you can sort of dip your toe in and out of the water and kind of play by your own rules. And so I think, subconsciously, that's maybe what drew me to the guys.
Well, you mentioned, a few moments ago that they're not trying to make fun of the subjects in some of these found footage films or tapes.
There's no films in their shows.
No, there's no films. Don't call it the Found Film Festival, because it's not. Somebody made that mistake. But it's that, you include a great scene, and it's not I'm giving anything away here. It's not quite but you have actually maybe the guy from one of the first, if not the first video that they find, who they connect with for the first time. And he's in one of these just silly tapes, and he is a huge fan of, Prueher and Pickett, and what they've done, and, how he's sort of, it's like, connecting them was this huge moment for everybody,
Yeah, that was one of those things, where you making documentaries, you have these moments where it feels like the narrative kind of opens up for you. And
yeah.
That was one of them,
Sure.
where documentary gods were smiling on us, because they basically started their career around this McDonald's training video that they found, that actually Nick, who worked at McDonald's in high school, stole when he was training to be a McDonald's employee. And it was so silly, he took it home, and he and Joe would entertain their friends on the weekends by kind of developing a running commentary to this tape. And so when they went to college together, they started a humor newspaper. They were both working as Joe was at The Onion, Nick was at Letterman. They were basically still interested in comedy, but they were wanting to do their own thing. And they had done this just organically as a way to make their friends laugh. And this tape was kind of the thing that set them in motion towards making the Found Footage Festival. So when the relationship kind of hits a rocky patch in the film, all of a sudden, the star of that training video, the guy who plays the janitor who is being trained in the McDonald's training video, they find him. And turns out they live in New York City. This guy lives in Brooklyn, and he is the owner of the Joyva candy company that makes tahini that most of us probably have in our pantry. And he was an actor who quit acting and to go back and run the family business. And so there's this really sweet moment where, he is kind of blown away that anybody has seen this thing and that they care at all. And not only do they care, they have made him a janitorial outfit. They've made him the outfit that he wears in the video. And it's not making fun of him. Like, this guy is beaming from ear to ear, and he tears up at one point, and they're sincerely asking questions. Like, they are a fan. And it serves to tee up the resolution of the movie. So it was just a beautiful scene. It was a great moment, and
a gift to any documentary filmmaker, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
And okay, so we're talking to Ben Steinbauer, who is half of the directorial team for Chop and Steele, which is currently available. We'll say it's currently because by tomorrow, as we record this, it will be, and people can go and rent or buy this on, I guess, on any number of platforms. And What you want to tell people where the name of what the name is derived from? Chop and Steele.
Sure. Chop and Steele is the name of their fictional strongman duo.
Which is what got them kind of in trouble.
Exactly. Yeah. So for many years, while they were touring the country, performing their found footage festival shows, they would go on local morning news shows in order to publicize the event. And
which is sort of the contemporary version, I think, of the videos we were talking about before. That maybe the production values have gotten more sophisticated, but not necessarily
not much.
The content.
They're still pretty threadbare, and these are at 6 a.m, and it's like Hello Wisconsin and shows like that. And what they discovered over the many years of going on as guests to publicize the found footage festival was that the host didn't know who they were. The host would butcher the name of the festival, that basically they weren't doing their homework. And so just as a lark, they started to see what they could get away with on these during these morning show interviews. And they just over time kept pushing it more and more and more. And they soon realized that they could create completely fictional characters and write press releases for them and get booked on these shows doing just completely absurd actions
that requires no real strength, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
and to show how far it goes, we'll just say that you have Howie Mandel among your subjects in the film. You're talking heads, for lack of a better term.
Exactly. Yeah. So they sort of do this innocuously for a few years, and they cut together the best of the performances, and those videos go viral, and they use them in their shows, and they develop multiple characters. And basically where the title comes from is they pose as a strongman duo, and they are absolutely not strongmen, and they're doing absurdist feats of strength like smashing baskets or breaking twigs, and they call themselves Chop and Steele. And so that's hence the title of the movie.
And also I mentioned Howie Mandel, who's really game. It's fun to see that he's game for that he can admire what they're doing. I meme him because you could see if you know popular culture, you'll know how far the Chop and Steele has taken the Strongman Act, their Chop and Steele Act. But also there's other folks, two of whom have been on my podcast already, and one of whom I know from living up in the Hudson Valley, and actually he was on too, now that I think about it. So three of them. Davey Rothbart, two-time Filmwax guest, is in there. Of course, has a whole enterprise around found content, right? A podcast and a magazine. And then Tim League, who is the founder of Alamo Drafthouse. There might be a little bit of a conflict of interest here. He's distributing your film. Is he still running Drafthouse Films?
Well,
or has he handed that over?
He handed it over. Yeah, he's
okay.
running it, but it's all under the same banner. And he was in the movie well before Drafthouse Films put it out. So yeah. So
no conflict there. Yeah. And then for those who know the Yes Men, who are kind of a political version of what we're talking about, if an overtly political version, Andy Pickelbaum is in this. And that's
right. Yeah. And Mike Bonanno. We got both of them.
And Mike, right.
They do a great job of saying what Nick and Joe would never say, which is that the pranks are actually social commentary and kind of giving them weight as being necessary and revolutionary.
And I understand corporate media companies don't want to be pranked. So, I can understand there'd be some sense of frustration and aggravation, but lawsuits and trying to destroy people is just, I don't think that ever goes well in the public eye,
Yeah. And I think they were trying to make an example out of them and didn't understand their target audience. And so it really backfired. And it became sort of a David and Goliath story that we tracked throughout the film.
Yeah. Well, and the film documentaries had a great run so far. It was premiered last year at the Tribeca Film Festival.
Yep. in June. Yep, correct.
And then it just had a run at some Alamo Draft House cinemas.
Yep,
and
we played Fantastic Fest, and so it was a Fantastic Fest,
which is in Austin.
Yeah. So we did special engagement screenings at I think in 10 different cities, and so tomorrow it becomes available for the first time to the public.
Is there a particular recommendation of how people should watch it that might be the most helpful to you or to the film, or does it matter?
If you Google it and rent it from I don't know if you call it iTunes or Apple TV anymore, but it's one of those. You can find it easily from there. And the film's website is chopandsteele.com, and you can also find more information at drafthousefilms.com.
There you go. Well, thank you, Ben. This is great. I really do look forward to running into you in person in one of these days. Again.
I know. Let's do it. It's been way too long.
I know. But yeah, and I'm up here, but there's a whole film culture up in the Hudson Valley. I mean, it's fantastic. And the Berkshires kind of nearby. It's really
amazing.
It's there's something, I feel like, a spiritual connection between Austin and up here a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're far out, man.
And tell Berndt that he owes me a podcast.
I will, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for giving our movie a little love here.
All the time. All the time.
Indie documentaries, and there's such labors of love, and just the fact that you like the movie and got something out of it and are willing to talk about it further means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. And, honestly, anytime. I mean, if there's anything on your mind, let's do it again soon.
That sounds great. Awesome, Adam. Great to see you, man.
Same here. All right, Ben. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.